This is the Infinite Receiving Podcast, helping conscious leaders like you tap into a wealth of abundance across all areas of your life and business. My name is Susie Ashworth. I am a single mom of 3 and author of the Sunday Times best-selling book, Infinite Receiving: Crack the Code to Conscious Wealth Creation and Finally Manifest Your Dream Life. On this show, I'll be sharing with you how you can upgrade your identity and your reality to create the life that you have been dreaming of. Because you are ready to be an infinite receiver. Hello, you gorgeous human being. It is Susie Ashworth here, and you are listening to the Infinite Receiving Podcast. I enjoyed that. I am enjoying being in your earbuds. I am really excited for this episode because it has been maybe 3 days since I have got back from the Joe Dispenza Progressive Retreat with my middle child, Coco June Ashworth. And yeah, I feel really amazing about so many elements of this trip. And at the same time, there were definitely some testing moments. But I just want to celebrate the fact that I have created a life where I and my 12-year-old daughter can go and spend 2.5 days with a world-renowned healer, spiritualist, chiropractor, personal development master, and that be our experience. It was so good on so many levels from that perspective, like just on a personal, like, wow, this is the life. And I feel like really I'm only scratching the surface. I remember feeling like this a lot, obviously, when I was living in Mexico. And not obviously for anybody who is new to my world, but in 2019 and a portion of 2020, in fact, all of 2020, myself, my ex-husband, and the 3 kids were living in Mexico and then in Valencia. And particularly when we were in Mexico, Puerto Escondido, so many times, I was like, wow, this is my life. This is what we have created. And it feels amazing. And it has been a little while since I have had that thought in that context, because obviously we're based in the UK now. But yeah, I felt really, really, really amazing during several parts of the retreat. And the times where I didn't feel amazing were nothing to do with the retreat. And perhaps, maybe at some point, I will go into some of the personal things that came up related to the kids whilst I was away. But those things took a little bit of a shine off the experience. But of course, it was perfect that those things came up because I'm in an environment where I am being challenged for 10 hours, 11 hours a day to remind myself that I am in charge of how I respond, and how I think about the situations and how I respond to the situations is going to create the next part of my reality. And so, yeah, some parts felt very difficult, and it was absolutely necessary for my growth, my expansion, my evolution, and really being willing to take ownership, not just when things are going great and it feels amazing, but also when things are not going great, when things don't feel amazing. And what is so interesting from a mother-daughter perspective is that I would say that Coco is probably the most introvert, not just of the kids, but of the entire family. And so being with 8,000 people in Basel and yeah, dealing with the scale and there not really being anywhere to escape, I wondered how she was going to deal with the experience. I thought it would be great for her. I thought it would be so useful for her to hear his teachings on creating your own reality. And I also thought that it would plant a seed for some of her fears She can be a little more on the fearful side. And I wanted her to understand a little bit more from somebody who wasn't me about those fears and the impact, always kind of looking for the thing to be afraid of, like the impact of that over time. So I had a plan. And what was interesting, the first 2 days actually were quite exquisite. And I was blown away by the fact that this child who I've had numerous conversations about in relation to potential ADHD and her inability to be able to sit down and take information in and all of that stuff, that just wasn't our experience there. She sat and she listened. At some point, she was super engaged, and at other points, she was just falling asleep. And again, it was really good practice for me to just allow her to be and not try to force or cajole anything out of her. And I was just really blown away by how well she received it. Third day, she was pretty done. And as I say, had some stuff that had come up that I definitely know influenced her mood. She definitely did not seem as receptive as she had done on the first kind of day and a half. However, since coming back, it has been so interesting to observe how she talks about the experience to her siblings. And, at one point, Dr. Joe had us all in these LED wristbands. I think it was Coldplay blaring out, that wristbands went up. Everybody's got their hands in the air, and it's like being at a rock concert. And when we were at home, Coco was like, show her the video, show her the video. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, it was really cool. I didn't dance because I get a bit embarrassed, but it was really, really cool. And I thought that she wasn't dancing because she thought it was cheesy and a bit like, whatever. You can imagine. I was loving it. Give me more. She was really enjoying it, but because of her own self awareness, self consciousness, it prevented her from really getting up and getting involved. And that is her journey. And I really hope that the modeling of the freedom that she sees within me in situations like that will at some point be an activator for her, or maybe not. I do not know. But it was so interesting hearing her recall this experience I thought was amazing, but wasn't sure if that had really penetrated her at all. And then the two other things that made me think, wow, was her on the Saturday night being like, "Oh, could we just watch 10 minutes of Dr. Joe on Gaia?" I was like, "Actually, it's bedtime." And she went, "I've just asked you if we can watch 10 minutes of Dr. Joe, and you're saying no." I was like, "Okay, let's do it." And I realized like that was a really big deal. We just spent 3 whole days with him, and she wanted to just tune back in again. When she asked for us to do that, I was really like, oh no, the seed has been planted. And whenever it sprouts, but the seed in this experience has made a difference. It has made an impact. And then the third thing that made me think, wow, and this has not just come from her, but it has come from all three of the kids, probably because Coco has been. But Coco was like, oh, I really think that Aluna would like this. I think that we should go to the 7 day. And so that really made me smile. And then I said something about meditating for 7 days to Caesar. And he went, oh, you hadn't invited me. You didn't invite me. I said, no, well, we've not been. Could you handle doing the 7 days? Because he had been trying to do the breath work so he could have a DMT, so he could get the DMT visuals. I've been working out the breath work that they've been doing, and I want to get the DMT visuals. It really made me laugh. I was like, well, if you go to the 7 day retreats and you do the breath work for about 15 minutes and then you'll be in meditation for like 4 or 5 hours, like, would you want to do that? It's like, yeah. And so I see all four of us going on one of the 7 day retreats together in the not too distant future. And I feel really, really excited to be able to expose them to this type of work, this type of thinking at this age. It feels monumental. And so, yeah, my heart is really bursting. And actually, it was one of my visions that I tapped into during the progressive retreat. And my heart exploded. My eyes were streaming as I imagined all four of us in Cancun and being completely and utterly Dr. Joeified. So these are my personal reflections, but I also wanted to share with you four of the biggest reminders. So that's what I would say about this retreat, because I have been immersing myself in the books and in the courses. There wasn't a huge amount of new information. In fact, there wasn't any new information for me. It was amazing to be able to meditate with so many people. But if I'm really honest, it wasn't until getting home that I realized the difference it made meditating with all of those people, because you've got your eyes closed. And so when we did the breath and the breathing on the exhalation, you're aware of everybody else around you. But for the most part, when you've got your eyes closed, you're in your experience. So it doesn't feel like you're meditating with 8,000 people. It's only when you open your eyes and take your eye mask off that you're like, oh, holy wow, I'm in an arena. So that experience was good. It was good on a personal note, but I didn't learn anything new. It was all a reminder and a refinement of the techniques, which were amazing. If you're somebody that's into Dr. Joe and you've been kind of trying to research all of the retreats and things, you won't hear a lot of people talking about the progressive retreat. And I think that mainly it is because the real magic happens when you've got more time. It's when you're doing those longer meditations. And I suppose 2.5 days, you're just getting started. Whereas 7 days, you're going to be seeing people popping on day 3, on day 4, on day 5, on day 6, and obviously on day 7 when you've had all of the build up. Having said that, it's completely worth it. I think that it's really cheap, as in like 599 euros, might have even been, I think actually our tickets were 500 euros. So is it worth it? Absolutely. Was it life changing? Probably, but not in the ways that maybe I had hoped for. I think just more in the realization of this is what I get to create for myself and my family now. And then the things that I was reminded of are, one, your beliefs will determine how you show up for yourself. It's so simple and it is so true. Just look at the energy in which you show up for yourself. Do you even show up for yourself? When you are inconsistent about the things that you say that you are going to do in order to get the result that you say that you want, that inconsistency shows that the underlying belief, the subconscious belief, is that you don't believe that it is possible for you. Whether that is because you don't think that you're worthy of it, whether you think that it's going to cost you too much to actually go all in 100%, whether you are scared that if you go all in, you might fail. It doesn't matter what the doubt is, but your beliefs will determine how you show up in life. I have somebody who's in my world at the moment, and the way that she's showing up in life within the program, she's gripping so hard, like so hard. She's strangling the magic out of it. And the reason that she's showing up like that, the underlying fear is what if this doesn't work? And the underlying fear is, what if I am not good enough to make it work? What if I don't understand everything perfectly and execute everything perfectly? What if it doesn't? Like, you're missing the point. So that was such a helpful reminder of all of the places where I'm like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Or, I know that I should be consistent with it and I'm not. It's like, look at the belief that is underneath. Consciously, you might want it, but unconsciously, there is something that is telling you that you are not worthy. That's the thing that gets to be changed. The second thing that I was reminded of is that if I want to create a different future for myself, I have to stop living in the past. Oh, the past is just so attractive because I know it so well. And this is what was interesting for me on the third day of the retreat. having had this personal experience that had kind of taken the wind out of my sails, I wanted to live in the past. I wanted, not consciously, like consciously, I wanted to just enjoy the retreat. Actually, was it consciously that I wanted to enjoy the retreat? I found it difficult to be present because my mind, consciously and maybe unconsciously, kept going back to that moment where the wind had been taken out of my sails. And what is true when we do that is every time we go back to that moment where we get the bad news, where we feel the betrayal, where we have been victimized in some way, shape, or form, our bodies can't tell the difference between what was happening then and what's happening now. So we are literally not just reliving it in our imagination, but we are reliving it chemically in our bodies. And as we relive it chemically and hormonally in our body, that then impacts the energy in which we are able to show up in the present moment. In fact, we can't show up in the present moment because we are showing up from the past. And as we show up from the past, we create the same experience internally and externally that we have already lived. And I think that, what we're reminded of is that 95% of our thoughts are thoughts that we had yesterday and are the same thoughts that we had the day before yesterday. We're running on autopilot all of the time, expecting different results. And so being willing to let go of not even just the negative things that have happened in our lives, but even the positive things that got us to where we are. Like, am I really willing to let go of that? And the answer has to be yes if I want to create a different result. It has to be yes if I desire to create a different result. The third thing that I was reminded of, and this is something that I think first shared 2 events ago. Worthy is a decision, not a feeling. Worthy is a decision and not a feeling. Now, the way that Dr. Joe talks about this is in the respect of consistency when it comes to doing the work, and his work is meditating every day. When you do the work every single day, he says, you will start to feel worthy. The way that I look at it is that when you decide to do the work every single day, it's because you have decided that you are worthy of not just the end result, but who it is that you are transforming into on a day-to-day basis because you are doing the work day to day. I'm worthy of that. I am so worthy of all of my dreams and desires. And I am so worthy of being the person who is a match for all of those dreams and desires today. I am worthy of who it is that I am being and who it is that I am becoming and what it is that she will ultimately receive, but not only what she will ultimately receive, but everything that she gets to receive on the way on this journey of becoming. And that comes from deciding. And this is what I want to teach my children. And I know that the best way to teach my children of their worth is having them see me deciding that I am worthy enough to have the best, to create the best, to create the most extraordinary experiences. Like, I am worthy of that because I've decided. And then I will show up in alignment with that decision. I'm not hoping that I'm going to wake up one day feeling worthy. I'm not waiting for somebody to anoint me with my worthiness. I decide, and then I act in alignment with it. When you decide that you are worthy, you will no longer tolerate the stuff that is not in alignment with where it is that you are going. You will no longer tolerate the stuff that is not in alignment with who it is that you are becoming. And this is in relationships. This is an intimate relationship and partnership. This is in your money. This is everything. And it is easier to say than do, but this is the mastery of life. This is what life mastery is about. And the beautiful thing is the more you choose your worthiness, the more alive you feel. The more you choose your worthiness, the more alive you feel. The last thing that I'm going to leave you with, which is just so insanely powerful for me, is that if you want to change your external reality, you have to change your internal energy. If you want to change your external reality, you have to change. I mean, he says your personality. Your personality dictates your external reality. The other way to say that is you have to change your energy. You want anything to change, you've got to change your state. Tony Robbins has been saying this for an eternity. Change your state, change your state. If you're depressed, you've got to move. If you're feeling anxious, you've got to move. If you're feeling stuck, you've got to move. Dancing, singing, breathing, tapping, meditating, imagining. It doesn't matter how you do it, but you have to change your energy and you have to be committed to going back to changing your energy again and again and again and again and again and again and again. Because it's easy when you're meditating, it's easy when you've got your eyes closed, it's easy when you're in your bubble. It's when you have to deal with the kids and deal with your partner and deal with your ex and deal with the person who just cut you up. When your eyes are open, when you are living life, it is much easier to do it when you are imagining life with your eyes closed than when you are living life with your eyes open. But the more you are able to shift your energy, let go of the past, let go of the frustrations, let go of the indignation, the judgment, the resentment, the guilt, the shame, and all of those things, and ensure that your energy is a match for the energy of the person that you are becoming more frequently than not. That is when change starts to happen. That is when the transformation begins. And I have lived this in my life. Like when I think about the quantum leaps, when I think about the first 50K month, my refusal to tolerate any energy that was out of alignment with what it was that I was creating, out of alignment with what it is that I was becoming, that is what created my first 50K. And it felt really, 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 really good doing it. You know, when I made my first seven figures, it was refusal to act out of alignment with anything that doubted the fact that I could do it, doubted the fact that I was worthy of it. I acted in alignment with it for a year and a half. Now, of course, there were moments. Of course, there were moments. But what is true by far was once I decided, I acted in alignment with the decision and it no longer felt hard. It didn't feel like a push. It didn't feel like, oh, what if maybe? It was like it was done. That is what I was reminded of. And that is what I want to remind you of. I hope that this has been a really juicy episode for you. If it has, and you know that there are places where you are not acting in alignment with who it is that you are becoming, or you desire to be in a space where you are face to face with people who are up leveling, who are stretching themselves, who are stepping into the fullness of themselves every single day. And I want to tell you about two things. One is my aliveness retreat that is happening between the 3rd and the 5th of May 2025. We're going to Glastonbury, the heart chakra of the world, and we are going to play in the energies of Glasto. And this is really about you peeling back the layers that stop you from living from that place of aliveness, from that new energetic frequency that is in alignment with where it is you are going and what it is that you are creating. It's about unveiling, releasing, letting go of, and stepping into the next level of aliveness for you. If this is interesting and you want to come and play, we've just got 3 private rooms left. Please DM me the word retreat over on Instagram or send us an email to hey@susieashworth.com with the word retreat, and we will share how you can apply for one of those last 3 spaces. And finally, I've got a live event coming up. I've got a live event coming up at the end of March. It is called The Pathway to Purpose and is really going to be great for you if you are not a coach, you're thinking about coaching and you're like wondering how you can make it work, or you are a therapist, a counselor, a consultant, somebody who's been used to working with people one-to-one and you really want to create a scalable empire, then you should come along too. Or If you are a coach, maybe you have never had any official training on how to be a coach, or you're stuck at like 2,000, 3,000 a month if you're lucky. This 3-day event is going to be perfect for you. It's the pathway to purpose, and it's all about how you can create your own 6-figure coaching business in today's market, which is changing so rapidly because of AI and automation. I'm so excited to bring this to you. It's 3 full days, but you don't have to go anywhere. It is virtual, so you can enjoy it from the comfort of your own home. It's the 25th, 26th, and 27th of March. So they're 3 full days. You need to put them in your diary. But if that is of interest, there is a link, susieashworth.com/unlock the number figures. But the link will be in the show notes, and I cannot wait to play with you there. Right, announcements over. If this has been useful, interesting, please drop me a message. Let me know that you have liked it. Share it on your Instagram, or if you have a friend specifically that you think would benefit from hearing my Dr. Joe takeaways, then please share it with them. And in the meantime, please remember that faith plus action equals miracles. I love you. You're amazing.
Thank you for listening to Infinite Receiving with me, Susie Ashworth. I'd love to share with you my Infinite Receiving activation audio. Go to susieashworth.com/activate infinite receiving.